Well, it's now 6:30, so I guess we'll call the meeting order. It appears as though we have quite a bit on our agenda here, so we'll get things going. The first one is modifications or changes to the agenda. Does anybody have any changes or modifications? No. If not, no public comment. They're here for a purpose, but I think they're covered under our agenda here.
Yep.
At a different phase. So we'll now begin with our organizational meeting structure for this coming year. First of all, I'd like to welcome Sam Valancourt as our newcomer this year, who was written in and was successful in gaining a seat.
Yeah.
And Leonard Sharon has now returned for another term as well. First item actually is the chair, vice chair, set meeting times and various appointments and so forth. So I'll open the meeting up to electing a chair.
Elect Walter Scott.
And I second that.
Vice chair, right, bro?
If anybody else wants it,
I
they
second
know
that.
Let's not get ugly here.
Huh?
Just keep it calm. Let's not get ugly.
Vice chair?
Okay, so we have it here. We have a chair, we have a vice chair. Next time is the meeting times.
I didn't catch who nominated Guy.
I did.
Okay,
No,
And I,
and who seconded Guy? You did, okay.
Next is the meeting times. We've been meeting in the past at 6:30. It seems to be working out well. Is that still a good time for us?
Good for me.
Okay, so 6:30 it will be. Second Tuesday and fourth Tuesday of every month. I have paper of record here. I'm assuming this is our secretary,
No, that's just to.
a minute
get
taker.
No, just to get on record what our newspaper of record is. Historically, it's always been the St. Albans Messenger.
Oh, okay.
So just to have it on record that
Oh,
is
okay.
our paper of record.
Yeah, yeah. Never seen that one before.
Yeah, we've always kind of done it, I think, under some of the other business, like rules of
Yep.
order, but I don't think it's a bad thing to actually put it on there, just so.
No harm at all. Next would be the various appointments and so forth. Our first one is the Regional Planning Commission Board.
You
Leonard,
got
is that what
You got the TAC.
you were on? Are you willing to return to the?
You get the TAC first.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, TAC appointments.
I'd like to continue that.
Ellen will continue on the TAC.
Chair, take care of that lady.
Sit there. There's another one over there, Sandy, if you want to sit over there.
I had a hard enough time going through the cops and the perpetrators.
Yeah, it's a
Oh, there's one right
dangerous
there.
area.
There's one sitting right here.
And the next one would be the Regional Planning Commission Board appointment.
I
You
said,
still return on that one?
Yeah.
Leonard will return on that one.
Okay.
This Regional Planning Commission, Water Advisory appointments, we don't have anybody for that, do we?
No, it's a vacancy.
It's a vacancy, which
We
will
never
be-
found anyone to fill that position.
We'll be putting
So
out a
it's
search of some
Still
sort.
vacant.
We got people right here, volunteers.
Well, if there is anybody, don't hesitate, just leave us your
I need a
name.
part-time job. What is the job again? Sorry, pardon.
Next one is the Regional
Yeah,
Energy
village.
Committee appointment.
Yeah, that's also.
That's a vacancy,
also.
vacant one
I've
as well.
Never found anyone to fill
And we
that
have the
in.
Town of Enosburg Recreation Committee appointment. And I do believe that Steve Wadsworth is interested in returning in that position. He wrote us a letter, well, a couple of months ago indicating his interest in that position, so he'll carry on with it. And adopt the rules of order. Well, you know, we're in a roundabout way of trying to follow them, but we're getting by, I guess it is. But we'll come close to Robert's Rules as order as possible.
Yeah, traditionally, the board has adopted a loose set of Robert's Rules of Order, meaning you basically follow Robert's Rules of Order, which is a standard way to run a formal or public meeting, but you don't necessarily follow it to a T. That's all it means, but you basically follow Robert's Rules of Order.
Next item would be the approval of minutes of February the 27th, and also our annual meeting of March the 13th. So we'll take two separate adoptions on that one there. The first one would be February the 7th. I'll entertain a motion to accept. Second? Are there any errors or omissions?
Just find any.
Not hearing of any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is carried. Next one would be the annual meeting, March the 13th.
I move we accept them.
A second.
Second? Are there any errors or omissions in that? Well, looks like Kelly Maddox has done an excellent job on that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And next would be the Better Connections Grant with Greta.
Yeah, so we whizzed through the organizational part of our meeting here in, I would say, record time. That took about 10 minutes. Usually we spend about half an hour to 40 minutes on that. So I had told Greta to get here closer to like 7 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
So I guess what I would recommend...
move on.
Yeah, I'd recommend maybe going down to item number 6 then.
Yeah, item number 6 is Lincoln Park permit request.
Rise Vermont. So in your packets, you'll find a Lincoln Park permit request that was filled out by Amy Brewer from Rise Vermont. Amy informed me yesterday she would not be able to make the meeting tonight, but she still wanted this to be considered by the board. She gives a brief explanation in the permit request of what she's looking to do. She's representing the organization Rise Vermont, which has been before us a number of times over the years to ask permission for various events in the community. And they'd like to do something a little different this year, something they haven't done in the past. They want to do a family bike day and use the park, including the bandstand, I guess, as kind of a meeting place, a place to, get people together before they send them out, I guess, they're going to have like little guided bike rides around the village, but they want to use the park as sort of a place to meet, as a meeting station, and also use the bandstand as part of that. Along with that, they're going to also offer advice on bike maintenance, and apparently have somebody there to show people how to do tune-ups on their bikes as well. And I'm not sure, maybe they might do some tune-ups on people's bikes.
I think they'll be giving out helmets as well, I think.
That's possible. Did you hear that?
We have a large number of comments to the board.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're involved in that too,
Well,
then, Sandy?
they were at a meeting, at the last EBA meeting, I think they have like 100 helmets
Yeah.
that they're gonna give away to
Oh, wow.
adults
That's
and
wonderful.
children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So that date would be May 13th, and so in a nutshell, that's what Rise Vermont is asking for
Yep.
permission to use the park
Don't
for.
have any problem with
Okay,
that.
we have a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is passed. Next one is a Lincoln Park permit request, 1906 house.
We have, board has information in your packet regarding that permit request from 1906 House, Jennifer Bright, but we have Jennifer here in attendance. Jennifer, do you want to address the board directly on this?
It's, the 1906 House is seeking the permit because somebody had to sponsor it, but it's not particularly a thing for the bed and breakfast. It's an idea I had last fall when we were working with some of the art students, and I thought it would be great to have an opportunity for them to have a chance to display their work and kind of connect the high school students and the students in general with the community. And so my idea was art in the park, sort of like a pop-up gallery for one day. Students will come in and the school has a number of easels, and we're looking out to the community for other ways of displaying different kinds of art and have them on tables set up in the park. But I'm also opening it up to everyone in the community in the area who might want to have some kind of artistic expression. So I keep mentioning jugglers, but no jugglers have come forward. Sorry.
Is this going to be rain or shine?
Well, no, if it's rain, I think, I contacted the Opera House as a rain venue, but they've got the pageant going on. So I think we'll have it in the carriage barn if the part, if it's looking like it's really gonna pour that day. I'm looking for pop-up tents, like people have at farmers markets, just to, if there's a little bit of something, maybe we can do it undercover. If not, then we'll shift it up there. And so the idea being that we would gather all the pieces of art in the carriage barn, and on the morning of the event, we'll bring it down and install it in the park, and everybody is welcome. There's nothing for sale. There might be a bake sale. Somebody was talking about doing a bake sale to defray the cost of electricity, if there is any.
So none of the work that's on display will be for sale at
No,
that particular
nothing will
time?
be for, it's to encourage everybody to come and just show their art. If somebody has something to show who also sells things, they can have their business card there,
okay.
and if there's somebody who follows up later. But it's, I didn't want to have some people selling things and some people not selling things. So everything is just open. And so I'm looking for ideas. Anyone wants to reach out to anyone in the community who has some hidden talent or some artistic work. It'd be great. I've got one person who's going to display some quilts so far. So we've started. Oh, and I also have Sandy Furland who's going to display some for our work. Sorry. The insignificant. So it's an idea of trying to, bring out, the interesting people and things that are going on in Enosburg and the wider community. It's not just Enosburg. There are some people. There might be some people from Montgomery who are also going to bring art to display. But
Well, the students are from more than one town as well.
Exactly. So we've got kids already I know from Sheldon who are on board, and I'm connecting with Carly at the high school and Ashley Bowden, the assistant art teacher. I've also spoken with the I'm so good at names. Nope, that's not what I'm thinking of. The person at the elementary school who does enrichment activities, the assistant librarian, and she's very enthusiastic because I reached out to the elementary school as well, and I thought, well, if the elementary school kids, maybe they can decorate a tree or bring some of their artwork. The committee that I formed so far, Nikki Woods, a former student who did an art gallery at the Opera House, and then Emily Rose, who's a student at the high school right now. And then we've just talked to the person from, who was at Scoozy's, Rebecca Bennett. And I'm so good at names. This is why I'm not in politics. So trying to be as inclusive and to create a great event. So that's the idea. And the hope is that this is not a one-off. Maybe it becomes an annual event, but we'll see how it goes.
And that's on May the 26th, is it?
May the 26th, the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
So the weekend before, there it is.
Yes, yeah. It was the one weekend when I looked at the school schedules and there was no game and there was no other activity, and I'm like, okay, great, we'll grab that one. Yeah.
So we should have a motion to that effect to approve the function, May 26th.
I'll approve it.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Good luck with the project. Sounds interesting.
And let me know if there's somebody out there who's got something. I want to contact somebody who writes books and have her read books at the park. Maybe some singers,
Origami.
whatever we can put
Yeah.
together. I'm sorry, what was that?
Just trying to get John to display
She's
his
picking on,
origami.
she's
Oh.
picking on me.
You know, we're open to anything. you
Yeah.
know?
You don't want to see my origami. No, I've never even tried it. Maybe in first grade I tried it, actually. I
We
think
are
we
in
did.
elementary school for this grade, so you should,
Yeah.
you'll be right in there. Thank you.
I guess while we're still on the subject here of permits and so forth, we might as well go down to number 9 temporarily. Vermont Dairy Festival permit request, Enosburg Falls Lions Club.
Okay. So in the board's packet, you'll see an application, or it's actually their standard letter from Pierre Boudreau of the Lions Club. And as they do every year, they are requesting permission from the Board of Trustees for the Lions Club to hold the Vermont Dairy Festival here in Enosburg Falls. This year it would be May 31st through June 3rd. And pretty standard.
Yeah. I requested them to confirm it as well as a copy of their insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I move we go ahead.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, we're moving right along here.
Yeah.
Uh,
You may want to go to the Vermont Class 2 road grant application.
Yeah, we'll go
Number
to
8.
Vermont Class 2 road grant application, and that is mainly St. Albert Street.
Yeah.
For the last couple of years there, we've had a lot of requests with regards to that project, and it is in rough shape. So we're plugging away again one more time for a grant, to see what we can come up with. Hopefully we'll be successful one of these days.
Yeah,
So-
we've been very successful. We got the 8 box culvert last year, and we're not really in the running this year, but we still apply. We're in the middle of the pack this year, so hopefully we keep them applying. We have a few streets. We have Salem Street, Orchard Street. We have Railroad Street, you know. So we're still working on it. Hopefully we get some more grants. And I need you guys to sign some.
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys need to make a motion to approve the grant application to the St. Albans Street paving project under the V-Trans Class 2 road grant application.
This is 80/20 match.
We have a motion to that effect?
I have a question on traffic control.
Can I, let's put it out on the floor first, and then we'll open up the comment. Motion to accept,
This first.
I'm making a
Motion.
motion, we accept.
second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Are there any discussion? Go ahead.
Okay, so is it Missisquoi Street that runs by Northwest Medical? Right, there's a street
North.
available to detour, so would it be possible to save on traffic control by to close the road through traffic and run a detour through, not Missisquoi Street?
I'm not sure.
Answer this question.
This is St. Albans Street right here.
The one by Northwest Rehab. in,
Yeah, Center-
The mousetrap pediatrics, so
We're talking that little.
Center Street.
Chuck-
Yeah,
Okay.
Center Street.
That's Center
We're doing the
Street.
whole length, but this is just a budget. Like, when we do a
Yeah.
grant, it's just a kind of a number that's probably large, but we want to have enough money there in case it goes over budget. So we always, this is a budget. The mobilization could be, or the contractual could be $5,000. But we throw a number on there with contingency just for a budget. So when it goes out to bid, this job may not go for this money that I show here. It may go for $30,000 less.
Okay,
But
Or more.
Or more. But V-Trans always says estimate it high.
all right. Makes sense
So
to account for it.
I think what Gary's trying to say, Sam, is this is just a grant application. We don't have the grant yet. We're gonna apply to the state
It makes sense to apply.
To-
so, yeah.
to get it, and then we'll see if we get it or not. Hopefully we do. If we're successful, then we can do the project and use state funding to help us with that. And then we'll get into those kinds of details.
Okay.
But right now, this is just simply a grant application to ask the state if they would be willing to fund the project with us.
Like, for example, Duffy Hill, we did that, that estimate was almost 300,000, we did it for 166,000.
Okay.
You have all that?
Yep,
paperwork?
sure do.
So, I don't-
Tags on it.
So we had a motion and a second.
This road's not a mile long.
Right, we told it.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions with regards to the motion that was put forward? If not, we'll call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is
I got a little
carried.
tag for you, Walter, just have the guy sign right here, and then I got tags back in here. So you guys,
Sign.
yep, sign right here on this, anywhere in there, all your trustees. And then you'll see where I tagged them.
Yeah. I mean, if we were to do, like how Lake Street and St. Albans is done, where they closed it. Into through traffic, and they would detour around. But it's not really, unless you live there, it's not really necessary to live a drive down, you shouldn't have flaggers, you know.
The other tag?
That's it, tag it, there's 3 tags
What
total.
do they do? with
You're right here,
access?
right here, I'll throw on these lines.
What would they, or there wouldn't be any access, right?
I don't know, he'd be the one to answer
And
that.
probably tear the whole road up. And then you got there, up here, go through here. You got one more, maybe not. I think so, maybe. That's it, Walter. Those are all-
That's it?
Yeah, so they all just sign on the front here.
That's all your pins?
Got a question.
Good.
Okay, to ask a question.
Yes, certainly.
What's the name of the street that runs between Green's Hardware and the historic building? What's that? Dirt Road?
Railroad.
That is Railroad.
Railroad Street.
Follow-up question, are there any expectations or plans to fix that road in any level?
Probably eventually we'll have to.
We have a lot of roads that, I mean.
Right now, there's a lot of roads out there to be done at this particular,
Mm-hmm.
that are traveled.
You know, unless we go for a bond or something to the trustees for.
But it's not on the radar screen now?
No.
No. Okay.
You see, we're submitting a request for a grant, and in the past, it's proven that we're not in the right range to receive it. On the other hand, whoever is being awarded it, they're not in a position to, they're not ready to do the job, sort of. So as a result of it, we've moved way up high on the list of many times, and they've come up with surprises and awarded us the grants.
Great.
Three signatures, right?
We're still,
Yeah, we're gonna really misjudge the length of time that the board was gonna spend on these items tonight.
Yeah, here, in front.
So we have, other than the Better Connections grant application,
I got
manager's
manager's report.
report's really the only thing left, so, which is gonna be fairly brief too. So we'll see, we'll go through that, and then I guess we'll just wait for Greta, because then the only thing we have is executive session, so. I've got just a few things to update the board on. We received word 2 weeks ago from Norcan that due to a delay in the delivery of parts for what's referred to as a gearbox on the hydro renovation project, they are now estimating a completion date for the Kendall plant repairs of July 2018. This is backed off from the original estimated date of May 2018. So apparently they, some of the parts that they needed in order to complete the gearbox work, they can't do until they get these parts, and the manufacturer of these parts have told them they've had a delay for about 2 months, so it's forced Norcan to push their time back another 2 months as well. So we're now looking at July of this summer in order to complete the repairs on the Kendall plant. That's not plant number 1, that's the Kendall plant. Also have to inform the board, unfortunately, we did not receive the grant for a new street sweeper, which we were hoping for. You guys are aware we had applied earlier in the year to perhaps get funds so that we could buy a new street sweeper as opposed to a good used street sweeper. So about 2 weeks ago, we received word that we were not successful in that application. They decided to give the grant awards to some other municipalities. So we will just move forward then with Plan B, which was to get a good used street sweeper, you know, something approximately 10 years old, but, you know, refurbished, gone over by a mechanic and in good working order. Certainly will be a big improvement over the unit that we have right now. So just wanted to make you guys aware of that. It's unfortunate, we tried, but they decided to fund some other projects, unfortunately, this year. Then lastly, wanted to make the board aware, and people from the public, I guess, aware too, those of you that are here. Some of you already know this, some of you may not. Congressman Peter Welch is going to be visiting Enosburg Falls tomorrow. I was contacted along with Jim Cameron by Congressman Peter Welch's staff last week. Jim and I have been working on getting sort of an itinerary together for Peter Welch and his visit here. He's only going to be here for a very short period of time. He's only going to be here for an hour. So he's going to be arriving here at noon. We're told by his staff he wants to wrap up and be back on the road by 1 o'clock. And Garrett, can you bring some more chairs in? There's some upstairs on the second floor in the spare room. So he's only going to be here for about an hour, arriving here at noon and leaving at 1 o'clock. We've got a very kind of brisk itinerary put together with him because he's only going to be here for a short time, but his main purpose, what he said he wanted to do, was to have kind of a walking tour of our downtown area and get a description from us about what sort of projects the community has been working on. He's heard some very positive things about Enosburg and the initiatives that we've been working on together as a community over the past year or so. And so he wanted to get, you know, an update on what's going on here. Perhaps, you never know, maybe somewhere down the line might be able to you know, help us with some future funding on something at the federal level. So I think it's, you know, it'll be a good visit. And the last part of the meeting, we're going to be, it's going to be more public. The walking tour, there's probably just going to be a few of us there sort of walking with him, describing what he's looking at and walking him through some of the projects. Then the last part of the meeting will be at the new Farm to Table restaurant, and we'll wrap up there, bring him back down to Farm to Table, and have about 15 minutes for a back and forth between Congressman Welch and whoever from the public or media comes to attend that portion of his visit with us here in Enosburg Falls. And then he'll be on his way. But just wanted to make you guys aware of that. He will be here tomorrow from noon to 1. If you're interested in going to that, I'd say be up at Farm to Table between 12:30, 12:45. We plan on having him back there at 12:45 for the question and answer part of his visit. And yeah, so you guys have any questions about that? No? Okay. Just want to make sure I kept you guys aware of it. And I think that's really it for manager's report. We do have Greta Brunswick here now. I really was off this week, Greta, with my time schedule on our agenda. We've actually gotten through the entire agenda except for the Better Connections grant, so you're up. You're the last thing on
All
the
right.
agenda. We've got through everything else,
Sounds good.
which
Sorry,
is
I was looking at it
amazing.
back.
No, not at all. Usually it takes us a lot longer to get through these things, but the board is sharp and on top of things today and ready to go. So
Everyone loves
we're
the
just
meetings.
we tore right through it.
Okay, well, this is the first time I've been in front of you guys since the grant was awarded, I believe, so that's great news. I'm excited to start working on the project with the village. So tonight, I think that Jonathan included, did you include what I had sent to you?
Yeah,
in the
I
packet?
included
Okay.
the sheet about the.
Right, yeah, it's
the-
just sort of a timing on where we are going from, where we are now and how we get to the point where we're gonna have a consultant on board and start working on the project. So Jonathan is reviewing the grant agreement and we'll be talking with you about that at your next meeting. So I have two of the main things that I have to do to get the project going are advertise a request for proposals to where we will solicit proposals from consultants or teams of consultants that are interested in working on this project. And then I also have to set up a steering committee that will, a community volunteer steering committee that will guide the project going forward. So in light of getting things moving, I think that I would like to keep with this initial schedule where I'm going to advertise the RFP next week, looking at around April 4th, and that would give us proposals due in 1 month, so May 2nd, and then we'd have a subcommittee of steering committees and project team members that would score the proposals and submit a recommendation to you as early as May 22nd, and that would be the initial goal, and perhaps it would be their following meeting if we couldn't meet that deadline. But the goal would be a recommendation to this board on which consultant or team of consultants to hire for May 22nd.
So if you guys are trying to follow what Greta's saying, I know you have several other sheets of paper with other good and valid information about this project in your packets too. But Greta's timeline is the sheet that is labeled at the top, timeline for initiating work, project team and steering committee structure. If you guys are trying to follow what she's discussing on paper.
So I just reviewed number 2, the RFP schedule. So I have that RFP drafted, I'm pretty much ready to advertise it. There'll be a site visit and a deadline for questions in there. Once we receive the proposals, the subcommittee that is reviewing them will help conduct interviews and ultimately select that final consultant. So as far as project management, we have kind of an overarching project team, and then we have the local steering committee of community members. So the project team I see as the village manager representing the trustees, a representative from the town select board, a Rise Vermont representative, and then the state Better Connections program representatives, and then including myself as the local project manager. So those are sort of the overarching project team members that are just kept up to speed on all project communication and may or may not be at steering committee meetings as we move forward. And then as far as steering committee construction, I'm looking at representatives from local organizations, 7 representatives, and then 2 at-large members. So I have I'm looking for your approval of this plan. I have letters of invitation that I'd like to send out to the organizations I have listed on your handout. The Enosburg Business Association, the Enosburg Falls Economic Development Corporation, the Recreation Commission, the Planning Commission, the high school, the Cold Hollow Career Center, and the Enosburg Falls Historical Society. And then there would be an additional opportunity for 2 members that are just interested community members that may not represent any specific organization. And so I think the only guideline there as far as membership would be that you live, own, or work in the village, or sort of, you're connected to the village somehow. So I'm looking to have April be the month where we're advertising and for that membership, and I'm looking for responses from these organizations or statements of interest from at-large members by the end of the month, and so that we can set up our first meeting for the beginning of May. Yeah. So I would take comment on this plan. Ultimately, I'm looking for your approval so that I can move forward in filling the steering committee so we can get going.
My question is the Cold Hollow Career Center versus the schools. Is that a different administrative group with a different
Yes.
perspective on things?
It is a different administrative group. It's all part of the same district.
Thanks.
And if there was an organization that didn't ultimately have a representative they wanted to submit, we could that space would be available for an additional at-large member, or the steering committee could decide to be smaller. It's fine.
Now, do you need you need a motion, do you?
Sure. Yeah, let's have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
What are you making it? I think we've got to add a little more than that to it. Give it a little flavor.
That's gonna loose Robert's rules.
So I think
What are we
generally
doing?
what I'd be looking for is your approval of the steering committee structure for management of the Better Connections grant and the RFP schedule.
Okay. So you've heard you're putting that
I
motion
think the
together.
biggest
all
point
right?
is the steering committee
I'll
structure.
go for that.
We have a seconder on that.
I'll second that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hope John's got all that.
Oh, yeah. You got it.
So you're doing a good job, see, no, very few questions.
They've all seen it before, so you guys, I come prepared.
You guys didn't vote on it or discuss it.
What's that?
You guys didn't vote on it.
Oh, you didn't call the question?
No.
Oh, I didn't? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Wait a second, we don't have-
Motion's carried.
I thought you called that.
It's okay.
Twice is better than once.
Can't hurt to
Twice is
just
right.
make sure.
That's right. It'll go even better now.
I'm gonna hear about it forever now. What were we talking
So I think that's it. Is that, unless you
That's-
guys
that's
have
everything I need.
anything else? You guys have now approved the steering committee schedule and work plan for Greta, so she can start getting working on that. I don't know if Greta or anyone else has questions.
I don't.
Does anybody else have any questions related to it? Or?
Could I just make a couple of announcements?
Certainly.
A small group of us went to meet with the school board. Then I went to meet with the principal. Then another small group, Jennifer, myself, and Shauna, went to meet with all the teachers at the high school. And the reason for us doing that was that we had some interactions with some kids with our larger community and a smaller community, and now it went really well. So what we're trying to do is to initiate contact between students and people in the community, occupations and things in the community. So this week I've got 4 folks that are asking to do stuff with us, and so I'm meeting with some people tomorrow. We're tying up a kid who's interested in civil engineering with a civil engineer, offering them opportunity in architecture. Some kids are coming over to the building to figure out how trigonometry relates to building and construction. And so that's just a really nice, positive thing. And then I've got another teacher who is putting together little mini meetings inside the school during the school day, again, to recruit kids, to tell them what they could or couldn't do that relates to the Welcome Center or the Art in the Park Day or any other things that we might be involved in with planning. A lot of kids are interested. It keeps coming up, issues of planning and community activities, so that's a really positive thing. And then, I'm not, Stephen Wadsworth
Yep.
and his wife both filed for grants, through RISE, or not RISE, but with Stacy Prodding. I'm gonna speak loosely but relatively accurately. With Stacy Prodding, they filed for 2 grants, they got both of them. And so that's $7,000 or $8,000. It's a focus on signage and recreation in downtown and tying in the river to the downtown, so that happened, the emails flew about that. And then for the Economic Development Board, myself and Elizabeth Nance, who's a really good connection for us, she's the economic coordinator for Swanton. We both went down and sat in on that meeting. Did you hear anything in that meeting? What a nightmare.
That was a nightmare.
That was,
I'm glad they weren't, well, I guess they couldn't figure out how to record
they
it.
couldn't figure out it. It's 20 minutes sitting there waiting for them to figure out a speakerphone. It was really quite something. Anyway, it was a very positive meeting for lots of reasons, but what I'll let you know is that we went down, there were 3 ideas, and one of the ideas that got the most eyebrows from them in relationship to Enosburg and that's what their initiatives are for this year, is a revolving loan fund, a facade grant loan fund for businesses. So we're going to be submitting, the Economic Development Board is going to be submitting a letter of intent basically by the end of this week, end of next week, end of this week. End of this week, saying that we're in the queue, we want to apply, and then we have a deadline of May 11th or something like that. So,
That's great.
huh?
I just said that's great.
Yeah, it is great, and it was great. So 1 out of 3 isn't bad. And at that same meeting, there were folks there from USDA and other arms of state government, economic development people, and I've spoken with Jonathan. I've asked him for some dates that he might be free. And those 3 guys are coming up here to talk about all the things that we're doing here. That's Richard, Ben Doyle, thank you, keep helping me. And this new guy, Pat Sheld, and
Out of ACCD?
yeah, we were all literally in the hallway talking. It was really nice, really good. They all knew about Enosburg. They all knew that we were trying to get some stuff done here. So they're going to be coming up here to talk to us about what other programs they can do to help us with the Welcome Center, feasibility studies for an incubator building, and verbally, USDA is committed to that, to being able to provide us with funds to create a feasibility study for the industrial park, to study and say, is it a smart idea or not a smart idea
It
for
all
us to do
starts in
something.
Enosburg.
Absolutely,
That's right.
that's what we're telling them. That could be our motto right
Could be a
there.
new tagline.
It all starts in
That's right.
Enosburg. I like that. So, just a lot of positive things, both big and small. I want to share that with you while we're all here.
Good to hear.
Nice.
Any other questions or comments to be made, or?
Oh, Linda, would you like to say something?
There's an Enosburg Initiative meeting Thursday night at 5:30 up at the emergency building. You're always invited to come and join us.
This Thursday.
This Thursday, well, Thursday night, yes.
Busy week.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
We appreciate being here. It's kind of fun.
Stay home.
Come more often.
Thank you all.
Better for me than dessert.
I think what happens in Enosburg stays.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Cite the page. I wondered if that was your last name.
Her maiden name now, or I don't know those.
Okay, I'll just put the page.
She's still known as.
Jonathan, can I just ask you a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Only because I didn't realize you actually have really gone through everything.
Yeah.
So you had given me the letter, when I submitted the blanket permit for the business association for all our activities.
The
in
umbrella,
park,
yeah.
you'd given me the letter back, but I needed to give you the certificate and the fee, which I
Yes.
dropped off. I just wanna make sure we're all set for the Easter egg hunt.
Did, yeah, I'm sure we will, but did,
Okay,
and Liza told me you dropped off the check.
and the
Did,
certificate.
so you did give her
Yes,
the
with the
insurance?
check.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
with
she didn't
cash.
tell me that. If you drop those 2
Yep.
off, we're set.
Okay, okay.
Okay, very good.
Okay, see ya.
All right,
Linda the Patty,
Yeah.
Business Association. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'd make a motion, we go into executive session.
Second? Second. All those in favor? We're now in executive session. You